Word Wednesday, peace and blessings. In Philippians, the 3rd chapter, the 14th verse, Paul says, I press towards the goal for the high call of God in Christ Jesus. Paul spent a good amount of time in a Roman prison. What he was referring to, or the illustration he was using, was of a sprinter, like in an Olympic race. And life is a race. But when I was in my 20s, I thought the race was a sprint, and the goals and things that I wanted, I thought I could sprint to it. But life is more of a marathon, and you have to pace yourself. In fact, I can remember when I joined the Air Force Reserves and I got my first paycheck. It was something, it was so abysmal. I believe it was like $63 after taxes. I called my recruiter and I said, Sergeant Stevens, I got my first drill check and it's like nothing, man. What is this? And Master Sergeant Stevens said, oh, it's okay. Just give it some time. Just give it some time. See, before you can be a sergeant, you have to be an airman. Before you can be a chief master sergeant, you have to be a staff sergeant. Before you can be a colonel, you got to be a lieutenant. But if you pace yourself for the marathon of life, if you prepare yourself mentally, physically, spiritually, you can last a long time in the race. The way I used to eat in my 20s is a whole lot different from the way I eat now, because I have to pace myself. I got to leave those eating habits in the past. I got to leave those in my 20s. And one day you're going to wake up and you're going to realize, if you pace yourself, life is going to flip. You're going to find yourself being that master sergeant or that colonel. You're going to find yourself in a new era where you're not driving a truck no more. You're in an office where you're making more money than you ever made and doing less work. You're going to find yourself in rarefied air, but you have to pace yourself. You have to prepare yourself, because life is not a sprint. It's a marathon, and you have to keep pressing. And like my initial sermon, there's a blessing in the pressing, but you have to keep pressing. The discouragement will come, hard times and tribulations, they're going to come, but you have to keep pressing your way through. And like my English teacher, Miss Thomas, taught me, pressing, that's a verb, that's an action word. You got to put your action in. There's a blessing there's a blessing in the pressing. Word Wednesday. Keep pressing toward the mark. Whatever your mark is, whatever your goal is.